Debbie, thank you so much for joining me today. I will do a short introduction. I'm Kim Garnett. I own the company called Brainy, and we help novice course creators get their courses online and into the hands of their buyers. That's what I do in a nutshell. And I'd love to introduce you to my guest today. Her name is Debbie. Debbie, how do we say your last name?
Friis-pettitt.
Friis-pettitt. Perfect. And Debbie is, first of all, an insanely talented artist, really, with watercolors as your medium, right?
Right. Yes.
Yes. Those are some of her paintings behind it. I'm just completely flabbergasted at your level of talent. And she owns a online school. It's actually a thinkific site called Watercolors That Glow. So Debbie is one of my clients. We have completed a number of projects for her, and I asked her to come on today to share her story with you, both for inspiration and for education purposes. So can you start, Deb, by telling us a little bit about Watercolors That Glow and what inspired you to create this online art school?
So a few years ago, before COVID hit, I was doing art shows, and I just didn't want to be another watercolor artist, another oil painter artist, just, people going by and picking out, okay, there's another one, there's another one. So I came up, well, I didn't really come up with it, but I decided that if I had a specific niche, and mine ended up being painting with just 3 colors. And so I would get people coming into my booth, and then the conversations would start. And I would explain to them how I paint, and I've always been very outgoing and really good with talking with people. And the next thing you know, everybody kept asking me, would you teach me? Would you teach me how to do what you're doing? And so from there, I went to teaching watercolor workshops. And from there, then COVID hit, and I started teaching online. So I found Thinkific, and I started out with one little course and knew nothing. And that's how I got here today.
Awesome. And how long ago was that you put your first course on your Thinkific site?
So that was probably about 3 years ago. So I put one course up, and then I didn't really do anything. At that point, I was like, okay, I have this one little class up. What do I do now? But so I got stuck, and then I just let it sit there for months.
Okay.
I really did nothing else. I didn't understand anything about marketing. And I was really, I had to learn everything else. So here I was, I knew how to paint, but I didn't know how to film. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know where to put things out at. So I would say it was probably about 8 months while my site just sat there and did nothing.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to go back just for a second to this 3-color palette idea. Did you choose that sort of niche because you saw that as a need, or was it your own struggle that kind of led you to that niche?
It was my own struggle. Watercolor has its own unique problems, for lack of a better word, because it's very unforgiving, and a lot of people will give up right away. They'll go and buy 30 colors, and they'll start painting, and their painting turns to mud. And that doesn't happen with oil or acrylics. So I started learning a little bit about watercolor, and I found one person online who talked about transparent staining colors and limiting your palette. And then my work just blossomed. And when I started focusing on those 3 colors, things just took off for me. And I started winning awards, and I got published in a couple of books, and
Amazing.
People love that. And to me, I didn't really realize that this was a thing, but you have to find something unique. There can be 30, different artists that are trying to sell teaching. Actually, it's probably a lot more than that. It's a few hundred that are trying to teach people how to paint. So I had to figure out a way to distinguish myself from everybody else and kind of move out of the pack. And so that's how I did it. People were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I can just take, just a few basic colors, combine them in different combinations, and create well, everything that some of the paintings that you see behind me.
Amazing. And so you just created this niche out of that struggle of your own that you had.
Oh, absolutely. And I kind of fell into this. I realized that other people wanted to learn just a
Yeah.
very simple method to paint without being overwhelmed by all kinds of conflicting advice.
There's a really good lesson for anyone watching. There's a great takeaway lesson for you.
You have to
Okay.
stand out.
You have to stand out, and niching down is the way to go. I will stand by that till
Mhm.
the day I am no longer here to say it anymore.
That was
You
the one
can't,
thing I did right.
you did that. Listen, you did a lot of things right. So that brings us to this, our initial consultation.
Mhm.
So you came to me. I'm not sure how you found me. Maybe you could share with us how you found me, but we had an initial consultation. And in that first consultation, you were really feeling discouraged. And it sounded like to me that you were ready to give up, that you had exhausted all your possibilities and you were just done. So if can you elaborate on first of all why you looked for someone like me, how you found me, and then what challenges you'd sort of faced before you and I met?
So I looked on the back end of Thinkific because I was just lost at that point. I felt like I had plateaued. I was making a few $100s a month, but I just didn't know what I was doing. I know how to paint. I didn't know anything else. Now, the interesting thing is I was a graphic artist for 20 years. So I thought, okay, I'm a graphic designer. I kind of know marketing from that perspective, but this was a whole new ball game. So I looked on the back end of Thinkific for I think they had a section called
Like the
Creator,
experts directory?
the Experts Directory, and I
Yeah.
found you. And so I thought, well, I'm going to set something up. And then we had some conflicting schedules. Then I had gone back onto Thinkific actually has a Facebook group. And then I got to know Rob Galvin and I bought all of his power-ups thinking that was going to do it. And that was just overwhelming and confusing. It's just like, he's such a wonderful guy, but oh boy, the tech involved with that. So I bought all these power-ups to make my site better and they just sat there and I did nothing with them. And
Okay.
then I did a consultation with Rob and he was just singing your praises. And I said, okay, I'm gonna try to get back with her again. And then we
Okay.
set up a 30-minute consultation.
Yeah.
And you said everything that nobody else was saying. I had actually tried a couple other people and the experience was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I realized that you are telling me all these things and well, if you just do this and do that, but they didn't do anything. I needed somebody to actually go, okay, we're going to do this. This is wrong on your front page. Here's everything you're doing wrong. Let's start fixing these things right now. And you
Okay.
did that for me immediately, just in 20 minutes. I went, aha, light bulb. She gets it. She knows
Great.
exactly what we need to do. So I set up 3 then sessions. And
Mhm.
one thing that I absolutely loved about you was immediately while we were talking that next session for an hour and a half, you got on my back end. You went, okay, we need to do this right away. You fixed it right then. You
Yeah.
fixed a ton of stuff. And I was just, my mouth was hanging open.
Because you came to me thinking that it was just your landing pages that need to be fixed.
Oh, it was a zillion things, all the little rabbit holes that you can go down. Um,
Yeah.
just quickly, one thing I had no idea, nobody had ever told me, was on the main page. There's a setting where you can add keywords.
Mhm.
I had nothing in there. You then immediately jumped onto my Google Analytics and you go, well, look at this. Here's why you're not even showing up. Immediately, once you went in and you fixed all those things, I started showing up. And we hadn't even gotten into the important things yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many things on the back end of a Thinkific site that
Mhm.
people don't realize should be set up or should be set up a certain way. And I fix a lot of messes of,
Mhm.
people trying to set up their Thinkific sites properly, which is
Yes.
wonderful, accolades for that.
Yeah.
However, unfortunately, in doing that, it's like learning a new website tool. You're an artist, you're not a website designer or developer. So you're not
No.
expected to know that back end. And so in most cases you don't. And so your site is not functioning optimally, I would say, on the back end, never mind the landing page part of it. Right?
Oh, right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to skip forward here to, I want to talk about the key changes that we made to your site, and really to your structure of the site. Because when you came to me, you had a lot of stuff. You were selling a lot of individual stuff,
Mhm.
there was courses, there was workshops, there was a membership, there was a ton of stuff, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that initial like restructuring of the products and your reaction and then the results?
I think you'd be better off describing that because basically what
Yeah,
I needed to do was scrap everything I had done. And I had tried so many different things, and I
yeah,
just did not understand the user experience. I didn't understand that that
yeah,
was as important, if not more important, than them learning from me. Teaching
yes,
watercolors is one thing, but I had no funnel. I had nothing. People didn't know what I was really about, how to get places. So you basically, and I'm going to say this, and I want people to think about this really carefully. Being a
hmm,
graphic designer and understanding how to design brochures and books, I let you go. I said, I want you to fix this and make it right. When you
yeah,
pay an electrician, you don't tell
hmm,
him what to do. And I had to resist the urge to try to fiddle and second guess what you were doing. I obviously was not doing it right. Nothing, no, none of the things that I had designed from a designer experience
yeah,
looked good, was working good, and doing it for myself was just a disaster. So I let all that go. I
hmm,
trusted that you knew what you were doing, and I just let you redesign everything. I don't think I changed anything that you did. I really don't. So I think it would be better
amazing.
if you
Yeah.
explained what you did for me for
Okay,
my
so let's
site.
let's talk about that together because I think
Okay.
that's first of all, I really appreciate that because I think you're totally right. When you go to an expert and you pay that expert money
Mhm.
to do a job for you, you have if you're trusting them with that, then I think you have to trust their expertise that they know what they're doing. So as I explained to you early on in the process, I don't design from an aesthetics point of view.
Mhm.
I design from a UX, user experience point of view. Yes, design, the beauty of it comes into that, but it's really about how someone moves through your site and how do we move them through to a purchase.
Right.
So I remember looking at your site initially and thinking, holy shit, there's a lot going on here. Like there's a lot going on. And no wonder people are confused because I was immediately confused going
Mhm.
onto the site because you do what so many of my clients and students do, which is we just keep throwing stuff out there, creating more, creating more, creating more. And we don't really do anything with what we have.
Mhm.
And so we just decide, okay, because we're creators. You want
Right.
to keep creating. You have to get a structure to create within so that you can also sell. And it's a business, not a hobby, right? So
Absolutely.
you had a membership that you really wanted to grow. That was one of your key points that you brought to me.
Yes.
I also noticed that you had a couple of free courses on there. And then I
Mhm.
quickly realized that there was no funnel for these courses. People enrolled, and then we didn't try and move them along the path to the purchase of a course or of a membership or whatever. You sold individual courses. There was a lot of individual courses that you sold.
Mhm.
And I think I said to you something along the lines of there was an initial conversation about I think here's what you need to do. I think you need to keep your two free courses. I think you need to go all in on your membership. And I think you need to scrap all these individual courses that you're trying to sell as well. Conversation was a little panic inducing for you because it was a big deal losing revenue from workshops and individual courses that had been a good chunk of your revenue up until then.
Right.
And so we kind of met halfway and I said, keep this part of your revenue, which I think was the workshops, and
Workshops.
let's go all in on your membership and get rid of all these individual courses. Let's set up some funnels to actually move people through the path to purchase. And so that's what we did initially. And then I remember it was very late at night, and it might have even been on a weekend. And I got an email from Deb, and she said something along the lines of, okay, forget it. We're going all in. I'm going to put the workshops in the membership. We're going all in. This is it. This is what we're
Yes.
going to do. And I was like, all right, good, perfect. Let's do this. So what do? We did a million things. I can't go into all of them, but I'll give you some of the highlights for those who are watching. So we redesigned, we did basically a complete overhaul on the site, from a design and UX perspective. We
Yes.
set up, we moved you over to ConvertKit, an ESP
Oh,
from a different ESP that you were on that wasn't working. It wasn't set up properly. And so it wasn't working, right?
right.
Um,
Absolutely.
Working, I mean, engaging your people, keeping your subscribers interested in moving through to a purchase, which is the point of an email marketing service provider.
Mhm.
So we set up those 2 free courses to really be good lead generators for your membership. You have a monthly and an annual. Your annual has some big perks like inclusions of the workshops in it.
Yes.
So it was really a complete overhaul of the site, but it was also a complete overhaul of the whole structure of how you're running this online school, your offerings and your products. And then of course the email marketing service provider section of it. I think that was in a nutshell
It
what we
is.
did.
It
Yeah.
is.
Okay. And so talk me through some of the, while we were working together, because this wouldn't be individual to me. There's clients who are thinking about working with someone, but
Mhm.
the fear of, first of all, let's go back. Let me just walk back for a second. Let's walk back. You said you talked to some other experts. You had worked with some other experts in both email marketing, trying to get that set up, funnels, and your courses, I think. Can you
It
just
was a
talk about your experience with them and like what did that look like, feel like?
it was a disaster. Um, I So from a creator point of view, we don't know what we need. We don't know what we want. We don't, if we knew how to get there, we wouldn't be talking right now. So I would have a consultation, one person, had a consultation with, and I couldn't ever get across to her as a creator what I needed, what was important to me. And they never, this person never followed through with that. So I spent a lot of money. Nothing ever happened. Nothing got done on my back end. And the things that did get done weren't done correctly. Just like we were talking about with my other email service provider, it was just an utter mess. So every time, and I'd only done it twice, every time I tried somebody, it just turned into a mess. Things got worse. I always felt frustrated. It's like, is it me? Why am I not getting across what I need? But the minute I got with you, I just felt the weight got lifted off of me. I took a big sigh and went, she understands me as an artist and what I need. She realizes that I don't know what the heck I'm doing here.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just completely lost. And when I hired you and you did everything you said you were going to do. In fact, I got a little scared because I went, oh my gosh, I have homework. Oh no, I have to get all these things ready.
yes,
I had
yes,
my huge notebook.
yeah,
You were
yeah,
sending me email. She goes, you said, okay, Deb, we're going to do this. Deb, we're going to do this. I need
yeah,
this, and from you. And honestly, I felt like I was back in school, but it was a great feeling
yeah,
because you were making me take responsibility for things and making me learn. And because I don't think you wanted my experience to be just completely, there's going to be a wall. Here's what I'm going to do. And now you're going to have to hire me forever. You involved me, and I have learned. I I've just learned so much. I wish I could go through every single page of my notebook And
Amazing.
you made me videos, you made me take responsibility and say, okay, Deb, I loved it when you would do that. Here's this video. Here's how you are going to do this once we are done.
Yes.
Now I have a folder. If I need to
Yeah.
go back, I have those videos saved. It was amazing.
Good. I think that's a really important part of this for me because I'm an educator at heart. I don't want you to be tied to me forever. I want you to, I mean, if you want to stay tied to me, wonderful. But if you don't, I also don't want to hold you hostage. So I want you, here's the thing, when you understand even the basics of your Thinkific site, your landing pages, your ESP, your funnels, when you
Mhm.
understand the basics of that, now you can hire well. Now you know what questions to ask. You know, you've got a bullshit filter, right? I know what if they're blowing smoke up or if they really understand what's happening here. And I think there's some confidence that comes with knowing how your own stuff works.
Yes. Yeah. I thought I knew how it worked. I
Yeah,
didn't at all. I didn't
yeah.
know. But now you've made it so when I go to put up, say, a new workshop, you've given me a video to say, okay, Deb, here's what you do. Step one, step two, step three. And that's just a huge difference between some tech person going, all
Mhm.
right, this is all fixed. And then later on, you're like, what in the heck I do? Or do I do? But not
Yeah.
only that, there have been times where and I know all of us probably do this. We don't anticipate everything. So
Mhm.
there's always going to come up things go, what do I do? And I know you're a busy, we're all busy, but you have always been so responsive. And I've tried not to bug you too much by saying, Kim, I'm stuck. What do I do? And you have gotten back to me right away. It's been a great working experience. And as far as the hiring, knowing how to, no, the only person I will ever be using is you. Never,
But
never.
I want you, bless your heart, but I want you to be able to hire well. I want my
Mhm.
clients and my
Right.
students to know the basics of the workings of the software that they're using so that they
Right.
can hire well, or they know who to reach out to for help, or any of
Mhm.
those. I appreciate it, but that's one of the reasons I do what I do. I want you to understand it because I have also seen the confidence of when you came to me, you were so fearful and so
Oh,
anxious and you wanted this so bad and I could see it.
mhm.
No, I work with some clients and I will tell them this is not going anywhere. I'm not the one to work with you because I don't see the same vision that you do. But I saw exactly what you wanted and I knew that I would be able to help you. Um, and so from that first conversation to this, it's like you're a whole different person. You have, I think, confidence in your ability. You trust
Yes.
yourself to make the decisions you need to make, and you know when to reach out for help. Would you say
I
that's
I would say that's exactly it. And you were my last straw, I guess, my last hanging thread. I was really going to give it up. I thought I can't paint, teach, and deal with all these problems all the time. Nobody tells you about that part of it. You just get
yes.
this idea, oh, I'm going to teach, or I have this skill, I'm going to share it.
Mm.
Look, here's Thinkific or Teachable or whatever. And I'm just going to create this website and we're going to tiptoe through the tool ups. And
It's so
once you
true.
get through that,
It's
it's,
so true.
and I think that that is why people give up. Now, there are occasions I think where your idea isn't just going to work, but I knew deep down inside, I knew I had something. I really did. And the people that stuck with me, loved me and were encouraging me, but I was at this standstill and I really was going to give up. And oh my gosh, now that I found you and you just have made everything easier. Now that's not saying that things still aren't coming up and we're going to be working together again on a few things, but all in all, well, I won't go any farther until you you can ask me more
No,
questions.
no, no. So I'm really interested. So tell me the results of the
Okay.
work that we did on your site. What have you seen? Feedback, revenue, all of those things. Can you tell us how that work that was done, that project impacted now for you?
Oh my gosh, my students all the time, they're always emailing me or on my Facebook group or when we get together for the workshops. They're like, Deb, it's amazing. The your website is so beautiful and it's so easy to use and everything just flows now. And we can see where all of the courses are. There has not been one single person that hasn't said the experience is just 180-degree turnaround.
Wow,
And
that's
that's
exciting.
wonderful.
Yeah,
And uh, I also made sure that I didn't have any preconceptions and thinking that as soon as this was done, that I was going to get 3,000 new subscribers, you know, instantly. It takes
yeah,
time to nurture people. And that's what I didn't learn about nurturing. That's what you did for me is you helped me nurture people. Because of that nurturing,
yeah.
every day, every other day, I get new people that are either turning out to be annual subscribers or monthly, and I'm seeing steady growth like I never had before. In fact, you've looked on my back end for me, but
I have. I keep picking on the back. I keep
I
peeking
love
on the
it.
back end of her site because it's so consistent. Like the revenue increase is so consistent month after month
Yes.
in what I'm seeing in the numbers.
Mhm.
It's exciting. Yeah. So I
It
keep
is. It's
peeking at your
very
analytics.
exciting.
Yeah.
In fact, I finally had the courage yesterday after you did it for me and said, Deb, look what I'm seeing. And you sent me that wonderful little video. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I have the courage to go on the back end now. So I went and looked and I
Good.
was like, "Oh, I've made this much money. I had no idea because I was
Yeah.
scared. I was still scared to look.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. You
every
had
day,
capped out. You had
mhm,
capped out at a certain revenue and
yes.
and I said to you immediately, you can 10 times that.
Now I'm seeing
And I,
that.
yeah, yeah,
But
awesome.
it's I'm still a little bit I fear isn't the word, but I think there's something that I think all of us as creators might have where we feel like we're that imposter syndrome. Like,
Always.
yeah, I cannot
I
believe
still have
people.
that.
Oh, thank goodness. I thought I was the
I
only,
still have
yeah,
that.
it's tough.
No, I think we all do it. We all second guess ourselves because there's so much noise around us of other people. And the more you look at other watercolorists, YouTube channels, or,
Mhm.
Google or whatever, the more you see of that stuff. And so the more there is to compare ourselves to, right? I
I've
think the
tried to
other thing
stop
that's
doing that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's everyone's A roll. We don't see their B roll. We don't see the struggles that got them to this place.
mhm.
We just see their A roll. And so removing that comparison is probably a really, really good idea. Yeah, because you'll sync yourself with that.
So one of the reasons why I try not to ever go on these other sites and do that is because I felt that way about my art. So one thing I would tell people when I was doing art shows is they would be like, this is amazing. And they would start asking questions. And I go, you will never see an artist's failures. It's not like I'm going to take everything that I ripped up and staple it to the wall of my booth. You're not going to see
Yes,
all those mistakes. So I
yes.
realized I have to give myself a little bit of a breathing room and a little bit of
Mhm,
grace and
mhm.
realize that I don't know how many years it took this other well-known watercolor
Yes.
artist that's selling thousands of tutorials a month. I don't know what their struggles were.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I tell people all the time, like, you're not paying me for this project. You're
mhm,
paying me for the 23 years that it took me to learn how to get results for you.
that's
It's
exactly
not the
it.
same. It's not the
Mhm.
same thing, right?
It isn't.
Um,
I'll tell you something else. I think my fear was always, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to pay this person 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 to, and then so you keep dumping money and these people do
right,
nothing for you until
right.
I found you. And then it was like, that was the best money I have ever spent. It has paid itself back. And you weren't just doing a project. You've taught me the light bulb. You've made the light bulb go on over my head.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. So
Yes.
let's can you speak directly to those creators out there who are thinking about creating an online course
Mhm.
or they're stalled and they're making some, like where you were. They're
Mhm.
thinking that like, I can't do this. There's no one that can help me. I don't even know what to ask. Can you give them some advice?
I can. And somebody told me this once a while ago, and I didn't pay attention to this, and I don't know why it wasn't clicking for me. Um, a painter, good example. Why are they selling so much? And it looks like they just threw some paint on a canvas. It's because of marketing. That's everything. You can have the most wonderful art, the most wonderful music, whatever it is, but unless you pay attention to that marketing end, that's everything. I don't care how, and there are some not very good teachers out there doing what I'm doing, but
Yeah, but
they're
they've got good marketing.
up there, and that's why. And why that never clicked with me, I don't know. That I think is the most important thing, but there's also something else that's more important. You have to have a niche. You cannot just say, I'm going to teach, and I can only come at this from my own experience, but
Yeah.
there are 1,000 other watercolor teachers out there. What am I doing differently? What is my hook? What is my catch? Why do they want to learn from me? If you don't have that and you can't answer that question, then you're never gonna go anywhere. You have to be able to answer that question. I have that part. I just didn't have the marketing part. And now that we've put those two together, I'm growing every day.
And I think it's important to say, like, I don't even really think that you started officially kind of marketing. I mean, marketing is a
Did
broad term. So, you've done the part about getting clear about who your buyer persona is, what your messaging is,
Mhm. Right,
all of that stuff for your Thinkific site and for your emails and funnels.
right.
However, as far as increasing your reach through reaching a new audience, you're just starting to dive into that now. I don't
I
even think you've cracked the surface of that yet.
I don't. In fact, the funny thing was I think it happened for me last year. So I was like, yeah, put some tutorials on YouTube. I'm going to do some live streams. And then I learned about, wow, you can, and I'm going to say this about monetization on YouTube. And I realize after talking with you, has nothing to do with monetizing your channel, but I knew nothing. I didn't understand anything. I started live streaming, and within 6 months, YouTube informed me that I had monetized my channel. Now, do I care about the making money part of it? I don't, but what was important was that that pushed me up in the algorithms, and more people started seeing what I was doing. And then I quit. I just
Mhm.
stopped doing anything because I was so overwhelmed with my
Mhm.
site. But now that you've cleared all that up, I'm
Mhm.
starting to focus back again on YouTube, and I've
Good,
noticed things are going up again. I
good. And it was one
started
of
a,
the
yes.
initial um, discussions that we had. I distinctly remember saying to you when you were talking about, like, maybe I should get back on YouTube. And I said to you, stop, don't do anything else right now. Because
Mhm.
right now you're burning through any leads that could potentially come through YouTube to
Oh,
your
yes.
site. You're burning through them because it's not structured in a way that's going to produce conversions. And so now that that's all taken care of and streamlined, now when you start driving leads from other channels, now you know that the structure is there, the conversions are happening, and so now you can confidently go and put your stuff out into the world.
Absolutely. And I'm still kind of on the back end of getting things organized after everything that we went through. So I haven't quite started streaming yet, but now that I've got that done and things are flowing, I'm converting people. Now I can focus again on doing some streams in the evening. And all it
Yes.
consisted for me was people just watching me paint. It sounds crazy, but that's what was funneling people.
Yeah.
I was just painting. People were asking me questions, and
Yeah.
I don't have this big production studio, but that was huge for me. So now I know, learning from you, I've got to focus back on that again. And so
Yeah.
I'm ready to focus on that again.
Good. Good. I'm super excited for you. What are your long-term goals with watercolors at Glow? Would you like this to be sort of your full-time, like, one focus, or do you have other plans for it?
I would I honestly don't want to, it's a lot of work to do art shows. It really is. You've got to schlep everything there. You may or may not, weather, you may or may not make money. And I've actually decided that I love teaching, and I actually love it
And
now.
you're a good teacher. Yeah.
But it's much easier now that my brain isn't overwhelmed with all the other stuff. Now I can narrow down and I can just teach. And I've really discovered that I am good at that. And people love my way of teaching. And that one thing I think that sets me apart, and I don't know if this is important or not, but I'm not overly pretentious when I teach. I forget things.
Yeah.
I laugh at
Yeah.
myself. And
Yeah.
that is really what's pulled people to me. They go, "We feel so comfortable with you."
Yeah.
And
There's
now
they
I
can
can go back.
relate to that because it's very human, right?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
now I can keep on my path with that. I can
Yeah.
focus on the teaching. I'm putting more tutorials up all the time, and now it's back to what I originally wanted to do. So I'm hoping to that one of these days I'm going to get to the point where maybe I can hire somebody to kind of just take care of all the
Yeah.
little things that I don't want to do, right? All the
Perfect.
admin stuff. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Adding new tutorials, workshops, all of
exactly.
that piece of it, maybe sending out broadcast emails.
Yes.
Beauty. And
And
do you
then I
feel like you're
just
more prepared now for that? To be able to hire someone who can actually help you because you know what's going on with your own stuff?
Oh, 100%. I feel like now I understand what you did, and you've walked me through everything. Everything's dialed in now. So now it's
Mhm.
just a matter of creating the tutorials, getting them up, doing the workshops.
Yeah.
And that being said, there's always going to be, you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to see a list of questions. And that
Mhm.
is the stuff that I'm hoping I can get to, you know, my son, who's very good with back end stuff, technical
Mhm.
stuff. I've considered hiring him to help me with all these little things. So yeah,
Perfect.
that's been
That's
big.
great.
So I'm
Great.
gonna get there. I'm confident now that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to happen, but it is happening.
It is happening right now. I can see it
Yes.
every day well, I don't every day log into your site, but when I
You
do
can
and I
though.
log in, it's so rewarding to see because like you, this is more than a job to me. Yes, this is my revenue. This is my business. Um, but these are also people and lives and businesses that I work with every day. So it's
Yes.
more than just a job for me. It's my baby, and I continue to do it because of people like you who hasn't, like I was so worried that you were going to give up when we first met.
Mhm.
And I just thought, man, with that kind of talent, you can't give up. Just I said, just do this, like this is your last ditch attempt. Call
Mhm.
this your last ditch attempt. And if it doesn't work, give up. But I was so confident that we could turn things around. Um, and so I'm just so glad that you're in this place now.
I from where I am now, from where I was, I actually get up now and go, I'm gonna get on the emails, I'm gonna look. Now, I haven't done everything. I mean, there's lots of things that I'm gradually chipping away at. I have
Yeah.
my book, and I try to chip away at one or two things a day. And eventually I can now see uh that little things are done. I love it. I get this part done, and then I can move on. Now I can focus
Yeah.
on this instead of 80 things all at once. And that's
Yes.
I I owe all that to you, honestly. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You need somebody that knows what they're doing to get you where you need to go. And I wasn't
Mhm.
doing it. I didn't know anything.
Well,
And
because you don't know what you don't know. You said at the beginning of this, right? That's
Mhm.
the biggest
Right.
problem is that you think you need this, but then you have someone with 23 years of experience come in and they go, you might think it's this page that needs work, but there's a whole thing that's happening here that's preventing you from getting where you want to go with this. And either you're going to come in and try and control how this goes, or you're going to listen to the expert and you know,
Mhm.
I think it's really important that you trust the person that you're working with.
I was just gonna jump in and say that You have to let go. You have to let go and
You have to
say,
let go.
and I remember you said something to me in the beginning. Okay, Deb, I'm going to say some things and I don't want to hurt your feelings. And I was like, hurt my feelings. Go away. Break it all
Yeah,
down. Tell me
yeah,
every single thing that isn't working, because I have to do the same thing with my students. I have to be
yeah,
able to be honest with them. I don't want them to depend on me forever. I want them to grow and create
yeah.
beautiful paintings and be proud of themselves, because that means I know what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
I had to trust that you knew what you were doing. So it's like, tear it all apart. It's okay. It's a mess.
Okay, so one
Yes.
last question then. So when
Mhm,
we talk about trusting the person you're working with,
mhm.
was that a gut feeling? What made you go, okay, I can trust this girl? And I'm not looking for accolades. I'm looking for, how do you help that person who's sitting there watching this right now that goes, well, there's so many experts out there, I don't know who to trust. How
Why
do
I
you?
trusted you was because when we first did that initial consultation, just
Mhm,
you do that for free. You got
mhm.
on my site and you went, all right, this isn't going to work. You played around, and within a half hour, you you opened my eyes. That was the first time anybody had ever done that. You said, this I can see already, Deb. This isn't working. Where am I going? What is this? Why is this here? What are you trying to tell me here? And you said, no, we need to do this. Immediately, I jumped on while we were talking and I scheduled my three major, one in whatever, 1.5 hour.
Yeah.
And you didn't just talk, you did. You didn't just tell me, fluff.
Okay.
You made concrete changes immediately, even
And
during
so
that
that for you
three.
was like that, okay, she knows what
Oh,
she's doing because I've seen her in action. I want to help those people who
absolutely.
don't know who, um, like how to decide who to go with.
Hmm.
Is it
Right.
gut level? Is it like what was that? Was it
Mhm.
just a gut level? Like
It was
I just
gut.
think she's the one.
Part of it was a gut level, but I think that also came from just watching you. My mouth just dropped down. I went, okay, in 10 minutes, she did what nobody else has done for me in thousands of dollars. She, in a free
Amazing, right?
30-minute call, she took it upon herself to go and say, okay, let's just fix this right off the bat. This
Mm,
is not working.
yeah.
And I went, this gal, Brainy girl, she knows what she is doing.
Oh, that's funny. That's
She knows
funny.
what she is doing. And it was also because I saw so many good reviews on Rob Galvin's Facebook group.
Mm,
He's always telling people about you. You all need to go to Kim Garrett. She knows what she's doing. And I
yeah.
how was I going to know? Really? It could have
Yeah.
been just another person. But no, within that 30 minutes, you had me hooked. You didn't know
Yeah.
fluff. You were just like, here's what's wrong. Let's get this fixed.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a no fluff kind of girl. I don't, because at the end of the day, and I tell anyone that I'm about to with, and I think that's what you were referring to when I said to you, anything that I say is not meant to, don't take it personally.
Mhm.
My job is to help you do what you set out to do.
Right.
And sometimes there's a hard truth to that. So
There absolutely
I,
is.
I am not for the faint of heart or the soft skinned. I am for those who really want to understand, move forward and do what they're trying to do. Yeah. So now you're part of the Online Course Creator Academy, which is my monthly membership,
I
where
love it.
you have courses and tutorials and weekly live Q&As.
Mhm.
And are you finding that that's helpful as far as the support aspect of it?
It is. I think that you did so much for me that I've noticed that I don't need to go through too much of it. But
Beauty,
when I get a
beauty,
chance in
perfect.
the evening,
Yeah,
I might go through one or two things. But what I love about your monthly membership is the weekly Q&As. I try to do
yeah,
as many of them as I can, but I
yeah.
love that you will say, okay, give your question, and then
Hmm.
you fire away. You even go on to the back end, go, okay, fixed.
Yeah,
That's amazing that you do that.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
love that.
it's a quick fire round robin
Yeah.
style, and we just get through as many questions as we can from as many members as we can. And
Mhm.
I love the fact that some of my members come every single week, even when they don't have questions, because they learn so much from the questions that other members ask, which to me is like
Yes.
killer. It's a collaborative event then, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I always have a question, but or a
Yeah.
comment, but I love
Yeah.
listening to how you're fixing a problem with somebody else.
You can always learn from it.
You can
Yeah.
always learn from it. It's an hour, but I love that it's only an hour. Um,
Yeah.
I always try to have my questions structured so that I can
Yeah.
just fire it off to you, have
Because
you
I'm
solve
like
it,
this.
keep it moving. Okay, go to the next person.
Yeah, it's true. Well, when we try, when I'm trying to, an hour is not a long time when you might have 15 members on and they all have questions for you, want to get us
Yeah,
through as many as possible.
right.
I am not going to keep you any more time, Deb, because I think that was super helpful. I'm really hoping that it's inspiring for other course creators who are maybe at a stall or a standstill and wondering where to go and if they should keep, continuing on. Do you have any last words of advice for those people?
I do. For any of you course creators out there, if you were stuck where I was and you're wanting to give up, it's not because you don't know what you're doing. It's because you don't know how to get there. And that's why you want to hire somebody like Kim. It's a game
And I
changer.
wasn't asking for a plug. It was just like, I really, really think it's important for people to know the difference between those of us who really know what we're doing and those ones who set up a website 6 months ago and call themselves an expert now. There is a vast difference. Interview enough of them and stop when you have that reaction that like, okay, I found the one. That's the right one for me. If you feel fearful, if they make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about,
Mhm.
any of those red flags, move on.
Well, I do want to plug you. I
I
want to plug you
appreciate it.
because you're amazing. And even I've even done the things like the online courses. Here's a marketing course, a one-page marketing course or whatever. And the whole time I give up on it because it's like, you're not, this is just fluff. It's all fluff. We've all heard this before. It's all free out there and nothing was anything of substance. I just want to get things done. I don't want to hear 3 hours of why you should
Yeah.
be doing this. I just want somebody, I am a problem solver. So I just want somebody to
Yes.
fix the problem, fix it now. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
That's what you
Yeah.
are. You are a
Yeah.
problem solver and you're a fixer. No fluff. Let's just get this done.
Awesome.
You're
I love it.
amazing. I tell
Thank
all
you,
my
Deb.
other artist friends about you.
Thank you. Bless your heart. Well, you
Yes.
were an incredible and are an incredible person to work with. I think you're an insanely talented artist. I am
Thanks, Kim.
loving seeing the results of what is happening.
Me
I am
too.
going to link to watercolors that glow in the description below so that if you're watching and you want to go check it out, which I would encourage you to do, even if you want to explore watercolor, Deb has a couple of free courses on there, mini courses where you can go and learn a little bit more about watercolor, and then another one where you can actually paint an orange poppy,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Sloppy. Or you
So
just want to see what Kim did with my site, how it flows.
there's another reason to go to it. Yeah.
No, I mean that. It's you should see what she did with my site. I was just like, this is amazing. There's nothing I don't think I changed one thing that you did. Not one.
Amazing. Well, we
It's
just
just
had to
amazing.
bring out the beauty of what you did
Mhm.
and tailor the messaging to your audience. That was at the crux of it. That's what we did. And I
It
think
was
we
wonderful.
accomplished. So yeah,
And it's
good. Well,
working.
thanks.
Thanks to you.
Super exciting. Thank you so much for joining me, Deb. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kim.